All right. Good evening, folks. This is the Seekers podcast for December 2025. The year's about gone. I'm your host, Wendell Hurricane Burrows, and we're waiting on our co-host. Maybe he'll get here, but we're just going to introduce ourselves and say anything we want to and go around clockwise. All right, Barry.
It's Barry Robinson and his mother. We're in north central Kentucky. Glad to see everybody. God bless everybody. Have a good night.
I guess it's my turn. My name is Robert Swain. Wendell invited me to be on Seekers tonight, and I'm here to answer questions and just talk about Arkansas Bigfoot. Just a passion of mine. Okay.
Awesome. BC?
BC Davis. I'm in Bald Knob, which is 60 miles northeast of Little Rock. It is a very active area with several different cryptids being sighted. And I've always got my ear to the ground, listen to what's going on. So that's it for me.
Awesome. Dale?
Hey, I'm Dale Bullock, up here around Heber Springs, Arkansas, North Central. Y'all probably don't even recognize me for no hair.
Yeah.
I had hair down here the other day, and I had a longer beard, and I cut it all off. I think that's gone. And I'm glad to see y'all here tonight. Good to see you again, Robert.
Good to see you.
Not a whole lot going on around here. Just been hanging loose.
It's been pretty quiet around here too. I had one report, and that was down by the Conway Bottoms, actually.
Where's that?
The Conway Bottoms there on Canton Creek.
Kind of like it, Lolly Bottoms.
Yeah.
Down in there. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was about 2 weeks ago now.
I had a report last month, later part of last month, right there on the bypass going around Valonia on a Sunday morning. On a Sunday morning, something big, very tall. It was we let Jamie stand in, and he's like 6'2", 6'3", and they said it was a foot taller than he was, but it was real skinny, like a basketball player, and it had a pointed head. They said. So
yeah, we have one that way that over at OARC. It's the only skinny one that I've seen, but it's been that way for 3 years now. So,
well, maybe. I just thought, well, maybe it's So I don't know.
I don't know. And just from being in different areas, it's just kind of like we are. Like a family group is all different heights, or width or wide. But over at OARC, that's the only one that we've seen or encountered that's actually, well, hadn't seen. We've seen it on thermal. Let me put it that way. It's a skinny one. That's weird. So it's 3 years that way. So it's just its body shape. All right, Robert, we're going to let you kick off and just tell whatever you want to about Arkansas and your book and give it a plug and let you go.
All right. Well, I appreciate this very much, Wendell. Have a lot of respect for your groups and you do good work out there in the field, and I appreciate that. My name is Robert Swain. In the real world, I'm a minister. I preach today. And that's kind of what I do. But Bigfoot, big hairy monkeys have always been my passion. And I'm originally from Oklahoma. We moved here to Valonia, Arkansas in 78, 79. And I've been different places, but I've always come back here as my home. And we started a small group years ago called APES, Arkansas Primate Evidence Society. We're just big hairy apes in the woods looking for big hairy apes. And I started. We go out and do field research, primarily in the Falk area, in the Saline County area, and around Faulkner County. There's just a lot of activity in Faulkner County. So that are really our main spots. But we've been, my only sighting that I've ever had was in Oklahoma. And it crossed the road in front of me in daylight. It couldn't have been anything else. It crossed the road in 3 steps, and when I stopped the car, it took me 8 steps to get across the same road. Wow. And Big Jim Whitehead, I don't know if you know Big Jim or not. He's a good friend of mine. He was there with us, and he and I started looking, and we found a footprint where it crossed, and we got to cast it. It was 18 and a half inches long, and at the toe splay it was almost 12 inches at the toes. And so I've seen one, so I know they're there. It's not a belief anymore. It's a knowledge. They do exist. And I'm a collector. I've been collecting stuff, casts and evidence for many years, and I also collected on my computer. Anytime I found something about Arkansas, I would just type it in, just jot it down. And a couple of years ago, I started looking at it, and I said, "Holy moly, I've got over 1,000 sightings right here just in Arkansas." And so I said to my wife, I said, "Mikhail, I probably need to put this in a book, and instead of just sitting on top of it and not sharing it, I need to share this and out there." And so I did that. I put it in a book, and it was published last year. Arkansas Bigfoot, a look at the wild man in the natural state. That's a copy of the book right there. But
I love it, Robert.
Oh, do you?
It's sitting on my bedstand, and I read a little bit of it every night.
Well, there's over 1,100 sightings in Arkansas alone, starting in like 1835 to 2015, and I just had to cut it off. It just year after year, it just kept snowballing, and I didn't know how to end it. So I just arbitrarily, I just took 2015, and it's chronological. But I also have by county, and the nearest town is there. And if there was a season involved or a specific date, that's there as well. And a little synopsis about what happened, and then where I obtained the information. Was it a newspaper or another website? I'm going to give credit where credit is due. And so, and if you want, and I just wrote a little synopsis. If you're really interested in that report, you can go to where I found it, and there's probably more information there for you to find. But this is just a collection of things in Arkansas, and I have a chapter in here about the Native Americans, the First Nation peoples that were in the area that would be Arkansas, and their traditions about this animal. And then I have the early settlers, and then the modern times, and then after the millennium, when the internet, they just really made things explode with sightings, and people felt free to talk about it and type about it to people that they had avenues to talk about it. So, and I kind of broke it up in those 3 different groups. And then after I was working on that, and then I thought, well, I wonder about this, and I wonder about that. And so I started going back through and doing the numbers. How many white animals we're seeing in Arkansas? What's the most prominent color? And who saw these animals, and what were they doing when they saw the animals? And where were they at? And was it day or was it night? What month had the most sightings? And so I started asking all of these questions. And so there's a section of the book in here where I crunch the numbers. That's what I called it, crunching the numbers. And I kind of look at that. I always assumed that black would be the most prominent color of an animal here in Arkansas, but it wasn't. It's red. It's reddish brown. Of course, there were some when the information wasn't there. I couldn't do anything about it. If somebody report and they said
Be
dark,
quiet.
well, what color is dark? You know, so
Right.
I just left those out, and so all of that is in there as well. And then I just kind of did a little survey about Arkansas in here. Place like Falk and other places that Harrison that has Bigfoot interests that are out there, and I have those in here as well. And I talked about Lyle Blackburn. He's written so many really good books in Arkansas, and he's from Texas. But you know, we really owe him a debt of gratitude for writing about our state like that. And so everything I could think about Arkansas, I put it in there. You know, and so it's Arkansas Bigfoot, and these are just the reports that I know about. My goodness, there's probably thousands that I don't know about, and really the real good ones that you hear at the campfire, I probably don't know about those, so they didn't make it to the book. So,
Right.
I got to ask you, Robert.
Oh yeah,
There's going to be a sequel.
well.
I know I hate putting you on the spot.
Yeah.
There. Come on now.
It's going to it will take several years, but I have about 200 more sightings that didn't make it to the book already that people have contacted me.
So is that a yes?
Yeah. Well, if I live long enough and my wife will let me,
Yeah.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
That's great. I've got quite a few of those books sitting around on the shelves, and that's my favorite so far. It really is.
Oh, really? Well, I appreciate that. You humble me. But it was a labor of love, but it certainly was a labor putting it all together. And it's still not perfect, but I'm working on it. So what all do you have any questions? I didn't talk about the conference, the conference that the apes have put on since 2014. There was a couple of years that COVID got in the way, and the tornado in Valonia got in the way too. But we've been doing this since 2014.
Yeah.
And our this coming up year, 2026, it's going to be the first weekend in September again. That's when it's going to be, and it's going to be at the same location, the Eagles Nook here in Valonia. I think it's just a good facility for that. So awesome. we're doing that. So
that is one of the better facilities I've been to.
Yeah, it is.
It's a nice place.
That was the hardest thing doing the conference, is finding a place. You know, there's lots of places in Conway, but Conway is sky high price wise, and either they were tiny or they were way too big. And so I couldn't find anything our size. And lo and behold, there was one right here in Valonia, and just really was blessed to find that. So it's called the Eagles Nook, awesome. And it'll be the first week in September, first weekend. So.
And we're looking to have a booth or table or something set up there.
Very good. Yeah.
So we're going to get some stuff together to bring just to show or sell. I ain't figured out exactly what yet. But
you know, some of these conferences, some of these Bigfoot conferences are huge. I mean, they'll have 15,000 people come. You know, and the prices are like $200 or $300 a ticket just to get in. And I wish I was making that kind of money, but I'm not. I've really decided to make this a small regional event. I could pull in big names, and they're friends of mine, some of them from California and Washington State or Idaho. You know, I could bring them as big speakers, but what do they know about squatching in Arkansas?
Yeah.
You know, they don't know. They really don't know anything about squatching here. So I've tried to pick speakers like Wendell, like you, in the past that I know you're active here and you're doing good work, and people around here need to know you and need to hear about you. And so that's the kind of people that from Arkansas and from Oklahoma and just this general area That's really what I try to do. And it's probably going to stay small because of that, but that's okay. That's okay. It's not the size of the money. It's, it's the information that you share, and it's also the people that come and say, "Hey, I saw this," and that's
Yeah.
really what I love to get is those people saying, "Hey, the Lolly Bottoms, that Conway Bottoms there by between Lake Conway and the Arkansas River down in there." Last
Yep.
year there was a guy that was saying that when he was a teenager, he was probably our age, but when he was a teenager, he went squirrel hunting with his uncle down there in Lolly Bottoms, and they found a dead tailless monkey that was about 3 feet long. It was in the leaves. It was starting to decay and smell, so they didn't do anything with it. But he said it was about 3 feet long. It was reddish hair on it, and it didn't have a tail.
Wow.
What else could that be?
Yeah.
It was right there in Lolly Bottoms. That's just amazing to me. Yeah.
That's why me and Neil set up the Bigfoot town hall meeting. It's great to have the speakers and everything, but it's to get the local people to come in and hey, since you're here, this down the road happened, or a few miles away. Last year that opened all kinds of doors for us to meet people around the area there where the town hall meeting is going to be. That was our main goal.
Well, that's really cool, and I'm glad you guys are doing that too. But a lot of people, they don't even consider it a Bigfoot. It's just that critter down there, or that thing that Grandpa saw down there, and
Yep.
and I don't know why people are so afraid to talk about it. A lot of the media and things like Finding Bigfoot and Monster Quest and all really kind of liberated a lot of people to talk about it. And so did the internet, like podcasts like this. So you could be in your privacy of your own home and learn about this subject and feel comfortable about it before you even, approach somebody with your story. And so I just think that's just really, really important to give them avenues to express what they heard or what they saw or their family's knowledge about these things. There's probably stories of dead bodies buried. There's probably stories of bones in an old barn somewhere. This is a big old cow bone. I don't know what this is. Boy, it's a big old bone. So the information is out there. We just need to find it.
Right. That's for sure. You're talking about that and bones and there. We found an area up in the national forest where it looks like graves, and they're probably anywhere from 10 to 12 feet long, and we mauled over what to do with it and everything. But there's a lady here in Arkansas that got in serious trouble for tampering in one of them. So I've kind of said, no, we ain't gonna mess with it. Yeah.
Do they think it's Native American or what?
What she tampered with turned out to be Native American. That's why it was such a deal. But I don't know. It sure looks like granite. So it could be Native American. But if that's the case, why would they be 10 foot?
Yeah, that's right. Well, there's a little section in my book where I talked about giant skeletons being found in Arkansas. And they come from newspaper reports, so take them for what they are. But some of them, it talked about it. They didn't even look human. Skulls, didn't look human. So they're if they're living creatures, flesh and blood creatures, they're leaving remains somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere, somehow.
Somewhere.
That's what we.
They may bury their dead. I've always thought that it's probably like an old hound dog. If when it gets old and sick, it'll just go off somewhere by itself to a place where it thinks it's protected, and it'll die, and you won't ever find it again. Maybe it does that. Maybe they eat their dead. We don't know. You just don't know. So
and there you go. Different Squatch clans may do different things.
true. That's very true.
Family groups, whatever you want to call them. We call them clans, but
Yeah, yeah. Well, years ago when Monster Quest was active and on the air, they staked out that deer carcass with the time lapse camera. Do you remember that? And
yeah,
they thought it was going to take a couple of weeks, and it took like 7 days, and there was nothing but bones left. That out there, and then the leaves fell, and then leaves covered the bones, and after a couple of months, you didn't even know that something had been there.
right.
Our opportunity, our window of opportunity, is very small in the woods to find carcasses of any kind like that. Yeah.
Well, I see Neil's joined us here. Good evening, co-host.
Howdy, everybody. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I'm up here at the Hobbit hole. It's,
are you?
I don't know. I didn't know if I'd be able to get out. I didn't know if I'd be able to get out or not.
Oh, that's good.
So you guys give code names to the places that you search. We do that too. So
Yeah,
Yes.
I may mention something, and then you may go to look at it on a map, and you're not going to find it.
Right.
Deer Run or Monkey Island, or we give them names.
a lot of that was on purpose in the beginning because you don't want somebody,
Sure, keep them out of there. Yeah,
finding your areas, but now it's just because events happen there, or it's something, it just fits.
There's a place called Deer Run that we go to quite often. It's almost inaccessible now because of the road, but we were up there one night, and it was cold, and we had a little fire, and we were kind of pretty close to the fire, and we did some calls. It's up on the hillside, and it just echoed through the valley, and then we heard a reply, and then made some more calls, and I kind of heard something in the leaves out there in the dark. And about the time I said, guys, I think something's circling the camp, 5 deer burst out of the tree line and ran straight towards us and jumped right over the fire between us. It scared us to death. We didn't know, and they were so low to the ground when they looked like that was wiener dogs running. They were just so close to the ground, and they would sprung over that fire and took off. And then we heard after we kind of settled down at the direction that they had come from, we off in the distance we heard another call. And so those deer were being hunted, and they would prefer to be with 3 burly men around in a fire than it was whatever that was out there in the woods trying to get them. They would rather be with us.
I don't blame them.
Us to death. So we call that place Deer Run. Yeah. And there's another place out there close to Saline, in Saline County by Lake Sylvia that we call Monkey Island, and that we had a lot of activity out there too. Just a lot of gibberish. You think somebody was about a block away, camping somewhere, and they were talking, but you could hear the gibberish, but you couldn't make out any words. And then we found rock stacks right in that area and a footprint as well. And so
that's safe. Below Neil's was his mom's place or uncle's place. We were out there one night, and here it was. Well, during the day it was 32 degrees, so it got real cold at night.
Yeah.
We were all sitting there, and down in this valley, which this valley from one side to the other is probably 3 miles. It's a big valley.
Yeah.
But all down in the bottom of this valley here, you could hear sound like little young kids talking, but you couldn't understand. It sounded like Chinese or Japanese or whatever it was. That went on for 2 hours, and then finally it was right at 1 o'clock in the morning. There was one big whoop went out, whoop, and
Yeah.
everything shut up and just quit. So that's the
So Daddy told him to be quiet.
yeah. But that was amazing. We almost went down in there, and I'm like, nah, we better not.
Yeah, yeah. Down at Falk, not far from Mercer Bayou, we were there one January, and it had flooded. The river was just flooded everywhere, and up on this knoll, we kept seeing a bunch of deer and different animals, and we thought, well, you know, if they're trying to get out of the water, they may be up there too. So we put recorders out. This was a long time before we ever had night vision or anything like that. And that night, oh my goodness, they had a party up there. They were jabbering and calling and screaming. It sounded like there was several of them there. And right in the middle of it, one would stop and would go, and just kept on jabbering. And there are chicken farms out there just north of Mercer Bayou, and I'm sure that's where they've heard this, and they were mimicking those chickens in the rooster and all. So they had a time. That jabbering is just an amazing thing to hear.
Definitely. One thing that we've kind of switched from at the beginning, it was to prove all this stuff, you know, is real. Each of us has kind of had our own little incident, or you know, with a Bigfoot or this or that.
Mm-hmm.
But after the years that went on, we've had hair samples, we've had tracks, we've turned samples in. They come back as you know.
Yeah,
and we've switched our goal is not to prove one. We know there's there. So our goal now is to take people, and especially non-believers or anybody out, and let them hear it themselves and say, "You tell me what it is."
Yeah,
and this
Yeah.
happened this last time we just went out, and we was actually, because of some of the spots there is such beautiful areas, we was filming a mini series for it's called True Armor, and it's about Derek Carey Armor Day. Well, some of them actors and makeup people stayed because it was in our Bigfoot area, and that night we had all kinds of activity. It was kind of funny. The one lady, she was ready to get back to camp quick. So, but
I think I know which one you're talking about. The other one,
Yeah.
the shorter one.
yeah,
We were standing out there about 50 yards back, and she
Yeah.
looked at me. She just stopped, just froze. And she looked at me, and she said, "You smell that, don't you?" And I said, "Yeah, I do. I smell it." She goes, "What you think it is? They're here, aren't they?" And I said, "Well, if you'll look about 100 yards over that direction, they're going back and forth between the trees." I said, "So don't wander off." She goes, "Really?" And then she said, "I do see it." And I was like, "Yeah, I know. It's. I think it ain't gonna hurt you, you know, unless you go out there. But they're definitely out here with us today."
Her name is
in
Tammy.
In October, a reporter from the Democrat Gazette wanted to interview me. I guess it was for Halloween or whatever. And she was going to come out, and they had a photographer and a videographer, and we all met out close to Lake Winona, out in that area. And they were going to stay really late into the night, and we were going to, you know, do wood knocks and all of this, and they were going to do a little docu article about it, you know, with the video. And I started sitting down about 4:00 in the afternoon with them in chairs, and I just started telling them stories. And man, when the sun started to go down, they did not stay. They just loaded everything up that we've got enough, and they were headed back to the city.
Yeah.
That's funny.
All right. Well, any of the other panelists got a question or comment for Robert here?
Okay.
Mom does.
All righty.
I wanted to ask you because I've had different opinions on this. You said you was a Christian. Do you
Yes.
think it's wrong for people to be involved with like looking for Bigfoot or something like that?
No, there are some denominations that equate Bigfoot with demons, and they're the ones that say there's a problem with it. I believe that Bigfoot is a flesh and blood animal that is in the woods, and scientists has not found it yet. Our grandpas found it, but science isn't even looking for it. And that's what I'm looking for in the woods. Something that leaves hair, that leaves poop, that leaves footprints, that will come and eat your dog food out of the dog food bowl at night. Something that'll come up and slap the side of your house. And so, no, I have no problem with, for myself or anybody else, say, oh, I believe in Bigfoot, because to me, it's a flesh and blood animal. And if it's there and if it exists, guess what? God made it, and we're all going to have to deal with that. So that's how I look at it. Now, when I saw my Bigfoot for the first time, I started thinking about that. People at church, they knew that I had a big interest in it and I believed in it, and they would say, "Hey, I saw something on TV," or they'd bring me a newspaper article or something like that. But believing in something is a whole lot different than saying you saw something. And I started thinking about that, and I was thinking, my goodness, if I go home and start telling people I saw something, either they're going to believe me or they're not going to believe me. And if they don't believe me, what else are they not going to believe me about? I'm a minister of the gospel. And finally I was driving home, I was saying, I can't say anything about this because it might affect me preaching the gospel. And so I went home and I told Mikkel, my wife, all about it. And that night I was saying, Mikkel, we can't say anything about this. And she said, okay. So went on the next weekend. I was a speaker at the Little Rock Paracon at MacArthur Park. I've been the Bigfoot guy there for many years, and I was there and I talked about Bigfoot, and I always field questions at the end. Does anybody have any questions? And the guy put his hand up. He said, "Have you ever seen one of these things?" And now, what am I going to do? If I say no, I'm lying, and that's not good. And if I say yes, maybe nobody in church is here in the audience, but maybe they won't know about it. I said, yes, I have. Another hand went up. Would you tell us about it? So I went in 1 week's time. I went from Mikkel, we can't say anything about this, to telling a whole crowd of people about my sighting that I had. And little did I know that in the audience was a reporter for the Arkansas Democrat Gazette that was writing an article on the Paracon. And when it came out in the paper Sunday, he led off with me talking about my sighting. And so not only was it the group at the Paracon, but now the whole state can read about it. And I was really nervous about what people at church would say. But I didn't say anything, but people would come up to me individually and they say, "Did you really see something?" I said, "Yeah, I did." Okay, that's good enough for me. All that worry was for nothing. All that worry was for nothing. And so, no, I have no problem with people believing that this thing exists because God is an amazing creator. He's created marvelous things out there, and this is just one of them. And it's just a secret right now. And so there's nothing wrong with it. So, long question for a short long answer for a short question. Sorry about that.
All right.
Did I understand you say that they were coming in there with dog food pan and that?
I say that again. I kind of broke up on my end.
Yeah.
Did I understand you to say that they would actually come up to the house and eat out of the dog pan and things like that?
Wendell, can you help me? I hear what she said. They come up with
said something about coming up to the house and eating out of the dog food pan.
Out of the dog food bowls. Yeah, I know of two people right here in Faulkner County that's talked about that. One is a single lady in her 20s, late 20s, that lives in a little bungalow down on Lake Conway. And something's been eating her dog food for months. And she's gone outside and come face to face with it twice in her backyard.
Yeah,
so I don't know.
Is she close to the railroad tracks? I got a lady that's been calling me that lives in a bungalow.
Really? No. This lady is on the east end of the lake.
Oh yeah, no, the one I'm talking about is on the west end of the lake.
Oh yeah. I think when they drain that lake, they're having to move in different areas for food sources, and that's probably what's happening right there around Lake Conway.
Yeah. That's cool to have correlation or somebody from two different areas that's backing up saying the same thing. Wow.
Yeah, that is neat. I think anyone who you leave out is fair game for them. I think any cats or dogs in your neighborhood are fair game, or chickens or whatever. Every time I see something like that, I automatically say, well, there's a food source right there. There's a food source. So.
I heard.
Well, now I've
Okay.
As far as, I guess, for lack of a better term, the woo side of things, I've always said the mind speak and all that, they're messing with something other than Sasquatch. Because to me, that comes more across as a demon or something.
I don't believe in the mind speak. I don't believe in woo stuff at all. They're not going to turn into balls of light in the forest. They're not going to live inside trees. They don't come out of UFOs. They're because of my Christian beliefs, they're not the half man and missing link. It's not that. It's a flesh and blood animal. And these people that claim mind speak, either something else is affecting them, or they're just deranged. I guess I don't know how else to say it. I don't want to offend anybody. Maybe some of you have had that experience. I don't know, but I have never, 20 years, I have never had any of these woo things ever happen to me or anybody I've watched with has that happened to them. So I have no idea what's going on. I do think that they have infrasound. Big cats and elephants have infrasound. We have done a lot of mission work, and one of the things that place that we went was India, and we were driving through this rugged area of India to these villages, and there were some goats in the middle of the road running around and around in circles, and the driver says, "Oh, tiger, 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 tiger." And he just got all excited because that infrasound that big cats that we can't hear, but they put it out, will disorient their prey. And so that's what he was saying was happening there. These goats are being affected by a tiger because of that infrasound. Elephants will do the same thing. And if that infrasound can affect animals, maybe it can affect us. A couple of times in my life, I've had that flight or fight feel. I felt like that I am in the wrong place at the wrong time. I don't know why, but I've got to get out of here, and I got to get out of here now. I don't know if you've ever felt that before, but I certainly have.
We've had several.
Maybe that could be that infrasound.
That's had that same experience, and one of them notably was a young buck of a boy that he'd go first one into cave or this or whatever, but that night that infrasound hit him, he was shaking and sick, and afterwards, and just kept saying, we got to leave. Finally, we ended up having to pull up camp just to get him out of there.
Well,
So,
I believe that can happen to people, whether they are misinterpreting that as a mind speak kind of thing. I don't know. I don't know.
that's what I believe is happening. It's affecting them, and
These
they're
things are
misinterpreting
covered with
it.
hair. They see in the dark. You know, they don't wear shoes or clothes. They eat raw meat. They don't have any permanent structures that we know of that they live in. You know, and they poop in the woods. It sounds like an animal to me, and not a superior being from some other place. That you know, it's acting like an animal, and it looks like an animal. I think it's an animal. So I don't know about these people that claim that it came up and handed me a flower, or it's telling me the future of mankind. You know, that's just bizarre to me. I don't buy into it. So
I don't
I
either.
don't even.
I hadn't experienced it, so if I ever do, that might change my mind. I guess I don't know, but right
me
now,
too.
no.
Me too. That's what if somebody really pushes that, I'll say prove it. Prove it to me. I want you to prove it to me, and I'll believe just like you will if you can. But nobody has, and nobody will that I believe. It just won't happen.
And that's back to, like I'm saying, we're at the point we want to take people out there. This we experience, and it's repeatable because we can go to the
Yes,
same places and do the same thing, and it happens.
that's right.
So they get to experience that. And okay, you tell me what you just heard and what
Yeah,
you know.
and that's
Now, when somebody
scientific.
you're right.
Yeah, yeah. I have to admit about this. Arkansas has more than its share of the crazy out there. I don't know if you've come across it or not, or all you have to do is look Arkansas Bigfoot on YouTube, and man, there's all kinds of craziness out there. And I just hate that we're being associated with that just by being from Arkansas. So,
Right.
I don't know. It just takes some common reasoning, I think, and scientific investigation, and some people in their right minds, and we might come to the end of this subject someday.
Hopefully.
But it's certainly a fun look, isn't it? Fun search.
Has been so far.
I'm not a big hunter. I've never really have been a big hunter, but I love being in the woods, and this really gave me the opportunity to do that. So, and I like a good mystery, so I like that. BC talked about other cryptids. You know, there may be other cryptids out here in Arkansas too. I don't know how I feel about the dog man. There's really nothing in historical evidence, fossil evidence, and all, of an upright canine. Now there are upright primates. You know, we know that in fossil records, but nothing as a canine walking on 2 feet. I don't understand that. I really can't wrap my brain around that. Right. So, and I've never had any experiences with dogmen or footprints or sightings or anything like that.
I don't know about you, but I don't want to.
Well, if what they say is true, you're right. I don't want to.
I'm like you. I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, yeah. I
Or
just
not.
think Bigfoot is enough for me.
You might be thinking you're losing it, but there's been just so many reports of dogman from everywhere.
Yeah,
And more
yeah, I
and
know.
more and more. Like,
But where were these reports in the 1950s? You know, I've collected from 1835 in Arkansas all of these things, and they're seeing the same thing until about 20 years ago. And then all of a sudden, oh, it's a dog man, it's a dog man, it's a dog man. You know, I don't know if everybody's just jumping on the bandwagon or what's happening, but these really weren't seen, or very few times were they seen in the earlier decades. So I don't know where they were or what they were, but they did say, "Oh, this looked like a big man," it had footprints like a man. It was like a big gorilla when in the 1870s when gorilla became a fashion. They realized it was in Africa. Then all of a sudden there was gorillas down at the creek in Arkansas. So they coined that here in Arkansas as well. I don't know.
Now, the sightings around here in Ball Knob have included both upright and those on all 4 feet.
Oh yeah, I think that happens, and it probably happens more in the South than it does out west. Why? Because we've got briars and we've got brambles and we've got bushes underneath that are much thicker than what's out in the west. I think they can walk through the forest pretty easily out west, but they've got to get down on their hands and knees a lot of times and force their way through the undergrowth here. And I think they do that quite a bit. When I catch myself going out in the woods, and I'm always looking about 8 foot high to see if I can see something. But if it's down on its hands and feet, I'm missing it. If it's down in that bush, I'm missing it. And I had an old Indian ask me one time when he heard I was interested in this. He goes, "Have you ever looked up?" I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, these things now are up in the trees
now."
Yeah. So I've started looking all over the place now when I go out. Yeah, BC, I think they are on all 4s. We've cast knuckle prints in half casts where you see the toes and the front part of the foot, but you don't see the bottom of the back part. And I think they're down on all 4s and they're just walking on that mid tarsal break, and they're just using half of their foot and their knuckles to walk. And we've found that and cast that before.
Oh, what I was saying, I think I must have misspoke. What I meant to say was the dogman sightings. Yeah, I mean, they've been upright and on all 4s.
Well, if it's a dogman on all 4s, it's a dog. It's a wolf. It could be a big wolf, even a dire wolf. But they would be on all 4s. I can't wrap my brain around a dog that walks all the time on its hind legs. They're just not made for that structurally. So I don't know.
I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 people that have reported seeing them upright, and one was actually running. And the majority of the sightings around here are within like maybe a quarter mile of the railroad tracks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, BC. Prove me wrong.
No. I'm just reporting.
I'll be tickled to death if you can prove that. That's cool.
Well, I'm not debating it when I'm just saying that's what I've been reported.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if 3 toes means dog man. I don't know, but that's what I've always heard, and I know there's some 3 toes up around UBC.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There are, and they're also down at Falk. In Willie Smith's corn wheat field, they found those 3-toed tracks. I have a theory about that. What if you had an older animal that had rickets, not getting minerals needed and all, and its legs were really bowed, and it's walking on the side or part of its foot? You would only see a long, narrow foot, and maybe not all 5 toes, but just 3 toes as it's walking. Some people said, "Oh, maybe it was injured." Well, what are the odds that it's going to be injured the same way in both feet? That's just crazy. That's just crazy. But if it had a disease or like rickets or something like that, and if they're walking on the sides of their feet, both feet would be narrow, 3 toes. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just trying to think outside the box a little bit. Could be. I know Jeff Meldrum, when I would talk to him, he would say there's nothing in in the history that says that plantigrade primates that walk on their feet have nothing but 5 toes or 4 toes in a thumb. He said they have to be fake or something else is happening to them.
That's what I would have said up to 2 years ago because I saw them down at Falcon, and I said everything I'm seeing is 5 toes everywhere we've been. 2 years ago at Ball Knob, we tracked a couple actually that had 3 toes that was different size. So until that day, I was like, so it's got to be either something like you're saying, genetically, or and it wasn't from an injury. At first, when we found the first one, we was like, well, maybe it got a foot in a trap or whatever.
Yeah, but both feet,
that was
that'd be crazy.
That was the only one we found.
The next time
that day, we found
smaller ones
tracks side by side, and both feet was 3-toed. And we was like, well, it wasn't from a trap then.
Yeah. What did you say, Joe? You two were talking at the same time, and I didn't hear what you said.
Sorry about that. I said, yeah, we went back later on and found a smaller version of that same one.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, it's either a breeding population or something. I don't know.
Or they're having the same deficiency in their diet. If it is something like crickets. Yeah, I don't know. That's just.
Yeah, I had some of the fellows down there at Tallahassee down there at the conference last time told me that I didn't have pictures of 3-toed feet, and I said I got pictures and I got the track with me. You want to see it, the cast? And they still said I didn't have it, and I'm like, well, guys, I don't know what you want.
I know that Mr. Zorn down and around Falcon had one of the original 3-toed tracks that were made there, and Big Jim and I were able to look at that. And if you look really close, there is a fourth toe that's there, and so 3 are impressed in the ground, and then there's a just a little indentation where the 4th toe was. So I don't know. Maybe, but I know Dr. Meldrum was just adamant that there is nothing out there with 3 toes.
Yeah, it was impossible, didn't he?
Yeah.
So, sure, well, there's something out there because I've seen it now. I mean, the track, and we made an impression of it, so or casting, whatever you want to call it.
That's cool. Hey, at the conference, bring some of your cast. I'd really like to see some of the stuff that you have from the field. That's really intriguing to me. I don't know if you. I'm in my man cave right now. Everything around me is Bigfoot related.
I see that.
Yeah, you see, I got stuff all over the walls, and I got my big fuzzy guy up there on top of my shelves there, and I have about 6 footprint casts in all, but I'm really intrigued about what you're finding in Arkansas. That's really, really a cool thing, and I'm glad you're out there working as hard as you guys are.
I come up with some casts several years back that I would like for you to take a look at. It was in a ditch that was real sandy, so the prints are very clear, but and detailed. But I want you to see exactly what. I just want you to see if you're seeing what I'm seeing in the print. So whenever that time comes, I want you to look specifically at some prints that I got, and I got some left and right. For left and right both, and they're very, very, very.
Cool. I love handprints. That's just really something I'm interested in. Is the handprints. the thumb lines up with the other fingers, and this big muscle that we have right here that pulls our thumb opposite of our fingers that we can grasp things. They don't have that muscle there, and it's all just straightforward like this. And if they grab anything, they grab it like this instead of with the thumb opposite of their fingers. So those handprints are really interesting for me. I'd love to see those.
Yeah, I think I may have seen one of those handprints several years back, but it was a totally different situation where I seen it, but I question it. So it was odd. The whole situation was odd. But
now I found an 11-inch handprint on the hood of my car one time, and I'd driven 2 hours to get to where we were at, and I always put my tent off to the side away from other people, thinking that maybe something that is circling the camp might come close. And my car was in front of my tent, and then down the hill they had a big bonfire, and they were playing a guitar and they were laughing and cutting up. And something came between my tent and the car and put its hand on the hood. Maybe it felt it was warm because I drove the car, but it's 11-inch handprint there. And I was tired and I'd fallen asleep, and it probably looked in the tent and looked at me, and I missed seeing it. But those handprints always go squatching with a dirty car. You never know what will touch you, and that's a good excuse to tell your wife not to wash your car. I'm saving it for Bigfoot. So. I've got a lot of casts. I have ankle casts from the Skookum Meadow cast. I have handprints. I have from Dr. Meldrum. I have the big butt cast that he got from Paul Freeman. Sooner or later, I'm going to have all of the pieces, and I'm going to put them all together, and we'll see what the Bigfoot really looks like based upon these casts that I've got. They're all. I'm waiting for that one to do a face plant in the mud, trip and do a face plant, and have a big cast of its face too. So.
One thing I hadn't found nobody else, Dale. Maybe an area that we go to, which is behind Dale's house, actually up on the mountain, that you'll find piles of snail shells.
Oh, really?
6 to 8 inches where something ate them out of, and another animal ain't going to do that.
No, they scatter them. They would scatter them. Yeah.
Right beside that, you was talking about the butt print. Right beside this pile was a butt print. They've been
there. You go.
Several times we've come back here, and there's a pile of snails 6 to 8 inches tall, in different locations out there. So I hadn't found anybody else that's had that kind of activity, but either the ones in that area, something's eating snails and piling them up.
Bigfoot likes escargot, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I actually found it part of there we've been calling the nursery for a while because of all the little bitty ones and the opossum grapevines all over the place and everything. It looked like they're playing. But you found a big old butt print and there was a big old hand print right over beside.
Oh, wow.
Like something was just sitting there looking at the little kids play,
You cast these when you find them?
Huh?
Do you cast everything that you find?
Sorry, I couldn't quite hear you.
I said, do you cast these things that you find, like the hand print or the butt print?
All of them up there weren't really, they were in real soft dust. And it's obvious something's been sitting around up there kind of making it dusty, by just sitting and crushing the dirt up and their stuff. But that and the fact that it's hard to get up there, period, but without worrying about carrying something else with you, So,
man, that's
really steep climb.
Yeah. One time at Alligator Lake, down south of Helena, Arkansas, me and my son were there in that wildlife refuge, and we were camping. It was his spring break, and he was just a little guy, like second grade. And it was just me and him. Nobody else was in there at all. In fact, the only person that we saw that whole weekend with the ranger that drove through one time. And so we were camped there, and I heard rock clacks, and I was, what in the world is that? And we went walking. My little boy picked it out on the map. He wanted to go to Alligator Lake. Well, it wasn't even a lake anymore. They had drained it, and I was kind of sad that there wasn't a lake, and he was mad because there weren't any alligators. we were walking around, and this was before I put two and two together and threw my head in the ring to look for Bigfoot. But I heard those rock clacks, and I started thinking something had to have hands to pick rocks up and strike them together. Something had to do that. And that day when we were walking around, I found 5 huge turtle shells about this big that had been ripped open. And all the little bones were gone, all the meat and all was gone, but all 5 of them were stacked up. And it wasn't where somebody would go. There wasn't a lake to fish in. There wasn't anybody out there. It was just wilderness. And 5 turtle shells stacked up in a row. And I didn't think to look for a butt print, but there probably was one there.
Probably
But
was.
I hadn't even put 2 and 2 together that we might be playing in Bigfoot's backyard right here.
I took pictures of the butt print and the handprint up there.
Yeah.
But you know how that is. You get it home and you think, oh boy, and you pull it up and you can't
yeah.
see nothing.
Yeah. Man, I always try to put a dollar bill or something beside it just so I can see how big it was. And we found footprints just about less than a month ago at Falk. Me and a buddy of mine were down there. They're carrying my book in the Monster Mart, so I had to take the books down there. And so he had never been down there, so we went down there. We went to Smith Lake, you know where that is, down there. And on that Levee Road, there were 2 great big persimmon trees, and the persimmon were falling. And right underneath the tree closest to the water, we found footprints right on the water's edge where they probably would pick up those persimmons there. But they were about 14 inches long there. So it was way too muddy for us to get down to where it was. But we took pictures of it. Like I said, pictures really don't do justice for some of the things that you find. That was just this about 4 weeks ago. And about 2 weeks ago, Michael Hall, that is part of TXLA, Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana group. In fact, if you ever saw that movie, Something in the Woods, did you ever see that movie? That's a great movie. He's the bald guy that drove the old pickup. He's an actor, so he was in that movie. I was talking to him, and he was down there about 2 weeks after we were, and he found 14-inch footprints about 500 yards down that road from where we had found those. So, right from that Levee Road, something's going up there.
Something's going up there, huh?
Yeah.
Making a habit of it, too.
Yeah. But we've had all kinds of things happen in that Smith Lake area. I've cast footprints there and had little rocks thrown at my car, and just ting, ting, nothing big, but just, and nobody was there. No, everybody was accounted for. So that's really something.
He's talking about the Monster Mart. Somebody else is running it now, ain't it?
Yeah.
Denny Roberts.
Denny retired, and Doyle Holmes is his name, and he's a really good guy. He's doing a real good job with the Monster Mart, and he's trying to bring things up into the modern world. He's got flyers of a map of Falk and Mercer Bayou and some of the key points where people things had happened, and that you could drive through and look in those areas. And he's planning to expand that Bigfoot area of the Monster Mart too. So I think it's in good hands. I think it is
good.
Yeah. You're talking about your man cave, and I got our map when the Arkansas boys went down there and Denny Roberts, he said, I normally don't do this, but he hand drawed all the recent
Oh,
signs.
really? Oh, man. You got to take a picture of that for me.
Okay.
I'd love to see that. My friend that had never been down there before, we drove out to Smoky's Lake that he made. When I was in high school, I interviewed Smoky for a paper in my English class, and he invited me down. So on my spring break, I went down to Falk, and he drove me around and showed me where the Ford house was and where this happened and where the Cersei farm was and all of those places. And I asked him, Mr. Crabtree, if you wanted to see one of these things, where would you camp? In that little squeaky voice of his, if I was wanting to see one of these critters, I think I'd camp right there. And he just pointed over there. And so I set my tent up there. And that night, those woods came alive. And it was just deafening how loud the swamp is at night with insects and frogs and owls. And man, I was scared to death. I was by myself. I was in high school and I was thinking, nope, this Bigfoot research is not for me. And so I got back in my pickup and left all of my stuff there and drove into Falk and slept in my pickup underneath a street light. Got my the next day.
Yeah. I don't blame you.
Yeah. I love going to places like that that has a lot of activity, and it's like going to Yellowstone. You can't take a bad picture in Yellowstone, and because there's so much stuff to see and do there. And in Falk, you're going to have activity if you just wait a little while. Just wherever you're at, you're going to bump into these things there. So, in my book, I've numbered how many sightings per county in just my database, and I have 136 sightings out of Miller County.
Dang.
I don't know if it's just the mecca of Bigfoot, all those rivers are coming together in those swamps there, but I think also that the 1972 movie kind of maybe had freed them up and gave them a little bit of courage to talk about, hey, I saw this too.
Yeah.
And so maybe there's more people seeing them and there's more people talking about them down there. But there's like 70 from the Saline County, but Miller County by far has the most in Arkansas.
Oh, we'll have to check, Neil. It's Franklin County where Area 2's at, ain't it?
Huh?
I was asking Neil where our Area 2
Say it one more time. What was that?
Yes.
Area 2 is in Franklin County, ain't it?
Let me see.
Yes. That's going to be Ozark area.
Okay. In my book, I have 14 sightings from Franklin County. And the earliest one is the 1960s. So they've been seen a whole more than that, all the way to 2014. And so they're there, but there's some places that people just don't talk about them.
Right.
People are going to think I'm crazy,
especially here.
Yeah. So,
well, we run past our hour. I'm getting my little red light. We're fixing to have to start paying. I wanted to go ahead and build the Bigfoot Town Hall meeting at Paradise Pizza, which Robert is going to be one of the speakers. Neil is going to be the host. Also, that whole weekend we're doing a Bigfoot investigation that people's welcome to go on with us if they want to. We'll be there from Friday till Sunday morning, but Saturday we'll be doing the Bigfoot Town Hall meeting.
Right.
Also, you got something coming up in April at Falk, don't you?
Yeah. The Falk Monster Festival that's down there, and Craig Woolheater puts that on, and you probably are going to see a bunch of that stuff on Facebook. but they've asked me to speak down there. I know Lyle Blackburn is going to be one of the speakers as well, and there's several others. That's always a good thing too. So.
I'm waiting. Well, he's confirmed, but if his wife lets him, they're supposed to go on a holiday on the same weekend as the Bigfoot Town Hall. William
Lunsford, yeah,
Lunsford
Bill Lunsford, yeah.
Going to speak.
Will has 2 excellent books. I don't know if you have his books or not, but they're very easy to read, and he's got a lot of stories in there that I found really interesting. That would be good.
He's the last one I hadn't announced yet because he asked me not to, because if he can get them to move his vacation, he's going to be there. So I hope he gets to speak at it, and it'll be good.
Wendell, thank you so much for letting me be on here. Anytime you need me, I'm a preacher and I have the gift of gab. And so if you needed somebody to fill in, I'll just rattle on.
All right. Yeah, we're all time. We normally have one guest, and lots of times they'll book it and then say Saturday, I ain't gonna be able to be there, so it might be short notice. But
just let me know. If I can, I will. And so,
all right, awesome.
I appreciate you guys, and let's keep in touch. We're all working on we're all playing on the same team here, trying to figure this thing out. So
for sure.
All right. Good to see you guys. Very good.
What we normally do, the same clockwise pattern. We just tell everybody our closing statements and whatever we want to say, and then I'll end it. Go ahead, Barry.
Like I said, I'm Barry Robinson. That's Mom. We're in North Central Kentucky. We've been doing this for about, 5 years now.
Yeah.
Everybody have a good night. God bless you.
All right. Well, you heard my closing remarks. I'm here in Valonia, Arkansas. You can find me on Facebook. Friend me. And if we have anything going with the Apes group, you guys are more than welcome to attend as well. Awesome. Keep your eyes open out there. Thank you, guys.
My name is Neil Huff. I'm from Cass, Arkansas. That's going to be in Franklin County. I just wanted to say thank you, everybody, for showing up tonight. And I am sorry I was late. Everybody be safe out there and take care of yourselves.
BC, you still Well, I really enjoyed this one tonight. I thought it was good. I was really looking to hear Robert speak again tonight. As always, he did a good job. And
thank you, man.
I hope everybody can get Paradise Pizza and give us the sightings and questions. All you got, bring them on with you. Y'all have a good night.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone.
Same to you.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Same to everybody.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And we'll be looking and still squatching in 2026, Lord willing. And see y'all in March 21st at Paradise Pizza. And if we have anything going on or activity, we'll let y'all know. Thank y'all for being here and being part of the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're gonna.
Thanks, everybody.